How awful.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the How Awful podcast.
It's awful.
I'm Tanya Lee.
I'm B.
And joining us today is our very dear, dear friend who's laughing at me because I have my podcast voice on.
Podcast voice. Casey Kasem.
That's not our guest.
No. Is he even alive?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Casey.
Explain later. Our friend who was a writer on the hit television show The Magicians for Sci-Fi Network. Right?
Yep.
For Sci-Fi Network.
And now he's a writer's assistant for Nancy Drew on the CW.
Yes, it is our dear, dear friend, Joseph.
Joseph Mireles.
How are you?
Hi. We have not seen this face, since New Year's?
Yeah.
Because everything went to shit.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so good to see you.
It is good to see you.
Mind you, we are
socially distanced.
What, like 8 feet apart with this
7-foot table.
Giant table here?
Yes.
We are coming to you live from T. Lee B studio.
It is so spooky in here, first of all. It's wonderful atmosphere.
I'm an atmospheric person. That's something I'm sure learned about me.
Air high five over the
Didn't
table.
we meet at our Halloween party at our apartment? Or no, we met going to see Alfred Hitchcock movies in Evanston, Illinois.
Yes.
You and Sandy.
And like the 2-hour epic train ride in the middle of the snow.
And pornographic dinosaur shadow puppets in diners.
Yeah, that might be my fault.
It was your fault. It was only your fault.
I make a weird first impression.
Or perfect first impressions.
Joey and I went to, B also went to the school, but we went to film school together. B was a fiction writing major, and Joseph and I were...
Well-spent money, really.
Honestly. You're great writers, so don't cut yourself short there. But Joseph and I had a class called Development and Pre-Production, and we actually had we had a meet cute. It was like the first day of school, and I was reading Angels and Demons to myself because I was antisocial, apparently. And Joey was sitting across from me, and he starts kicking me under the table. I'm like, who is this boy, and why is he kicking me? Mind you, our classroom was not like your standard college classrooms. It was like a long table where...
Much like this one.
Like this one, where like 10 of us sat around. We're like sitting royalty style across from each other.
There are candles everywhere. This is like gothic spooky. I'm so happy about it.
We like to set the mood.
We I think our friendships truly blossomed over ghost tours.
Yes.
And shared love for horror movies.
And Dan Brown.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was reading this book and this boy starts kicking me and he's like, Angels and Demons, I just read it. What do you think? What do you think? And I was like, oh, he wants to
Great Joey impression.
He wants to talk about the book.
Why else would I kick people? That's just what I do. Like, also, don't let me in your book club.
He's just going to kick you.
Invite me to your book club.
Also, fun fact about our dear Joseph is he is the love interest of the lovely lady who made our theme song.
Yes, Nikki Lou.
The lovely Nikki
The lovely lady who can't be here because she has the flu, not COVID.
Don't worry, she got tested. She's negative.
Yep, and I got my flu shot, so we're all good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it up.
I am really caffeinated though.
And we gave him alcohol, so this is going to be a good show, guys.
We're working on that one. In 20 minutes. Things are going to get real.
Things are going to get real.
Because that's how much of a lightweight Joseph is. 20 minutes later, he's saucy.
I don't drink anymore. I'm a social drinker, and so now that the social life has like gone out the window, I'm just like, all right.
So true.
Well, yeah, B and I are still socializing together, so we're still drinking.
Yeah. This is not going to be our standard issue episode. It's a special episode. It's the Halloween episode.
It is.
So we're just going to shoot the shit. We're just going to tell some personal ghost stories. And you're finally going to hear the tale from the first episode about what happened to me at our Chicago apartment that Joseph knows some stuff about because he was the one that I knew was up at 3 a.m. when I was freaking out. So he got a lot of late night texts.
Yeah.
So he can interject where he may.
Dennis, my father, was dying for you to finish the story.
How could you leave it on a cliffhanger?
So now I don't know what number, would be episode 9. Mm-hmm. He's, Dennis, I don't think he kept listening.
No,
I think he gave up.
I think he did too. We're not getting it. Dad listened. He always talks about himself in the third person.
Yeah, my dad refers to himself as dad to me. He's like, Dad loves you, baby. Dad loves you very much. Dad is so proud of you.
Oh my God, that's genius.
All the time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That sounds so like personally entertaining.
But isn't that so him? Like, you know him. Yeah.
Yeah, like
You've never heard him do that?
If I was a father, I'm going to start doing that.
Just speaking to yourself.
Well, you know, like when you have little
Dad
kids.
is proud.
When you have little kids, you're supposed to say, "Oh,
Daddy loves you.
Daddy is doing this," or "Mommy is doing this," and
he never grew out of it.
So that he never grew out of it. So children like recognize, who everybody is and what they're doing. I was going to talk to Joseph a little about an apartment he lived in West Hollywood that was haunted. That I'm sure you know. You lived there.
Did you know?
Well, not at the time. I think I was just I can go through like phases of just being a space cadet, especially if I'm writing a lot, where it's just like I am not noticing what's happening around me because I am so deep in some weird tucked away corner of my head.
Yes.
Once you had your experience and you told me the story, I just immediately was like, "Oh my God! This is crazy."
We named him Ralph. Ralph the ghost. So Ralph was probably standing there.
The ghost of WeHo.
Yes, Ralph was probably standing there, like waving his arms at Joey, like, "Look at me! Look at me! I'm gonna throw things." And Joey's like, "Shut up! I'm writing."
And Joseph's got an interesting topic tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean,
a few.
There's. Okay, the first thing about me is, again, I give off weird first impressions.
Guys, everyone's like, who is this weirdo?
I know, right?
Learn to love him. You're going to see much of him.
Why is he giggling so much?
He's a giggler.
I've got a big smile on my face for anyone that cannot see me.
Yes, which is everyone.
Hey, you don't know. You might have some like mediums like listening to your podcast at this point. That'd be cool.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh man, they're probably like, why do they record this in the nude? That was a joke.
Just holding cats.
How awkward.
How awkwardful.
Exactly.
Joey, I want to hear your stories.
Okay. I am a person who wants to believe in ghosts. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts because I want
skeptical. Skeptic.
Skeptical.
I can relate.
Skeptical, like optimist. I don't know.
Okay.
I just,
nobody dies. Everybody lives.
I really like the idea of ghosts existing, and I love spooky atmospheric things, especially horror ghost stories and movies and all these things. I love the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. That was awesome.
I love Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Is it haunted? It is
haunted.
It is
haunted.
Yeah, it's totally.
It's supposed to be, at least.
Yeah. There's some crazy stuff if you get into like the history of just that ride alone. It's awesome. Yes. So I have a lot of weird ghost stories that are, they're all accidental stories. I'm not necessarily looking for something in most cases, and it just like kind of pops up, and I'm like, oh, there's another reason to check one for the ghosts.
Another reason to believe.
1 point for ghost, 0 for Joey.
I actually didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you didn't necessarily believe.
Yeah,
You just strike me as such a believer in all things that I was like, what?
That's true.
Yeah.
Joey's like our favorite cheerleader in the world.
Yeah, well, I believe in my friends.
We are not ghosts, are we?
But no,
I'm alive.
That was something I feel like we all bonded over, though, was
Definitely.
Just doing scary stuff and just kind of being night owls. And
we were also history buffs.
I was literally going to say that, yeah.
We liked going on Chicago ghost tours for the history of it, too. Because you get, like, the Al Capone stories, you get all this architectural history. I mean, Chicago is a scary city just for humans.
Yep.
I mean, you had the fire, you had all the mobs, you had tons of murder. You had the Tylenol murders. Did you guys hear about those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Joe, you want to tell us a little background, where you're from?
Cool, yeah. Well, weirdly, I was born in L.A.
Yes.
You were?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, my God. I'm about to blow your mind with the second place I moved.
What?
So when we were 2... my parents were like, we don't want to raise a kid in LA. Like, let's get out of here. And so we followed some like my mom's sister to Scranton, Pennsylvania. So I lived in Scranton for a year.
With good old Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Uncle
Good
Joe?
old Michael Scott.
And Michael Scott.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
apparently, I was watching The Office with my mom once, and the title, like the credits in the beginning, were rolling, and there's the shot of the Scranton sign, and it's like kind of a snowy hill and apartments behind it, and she's like, "That's where we lived."
No.
Yeah, and she's like, "We lived down that street." Like she recognized the apartments, and like,
Dope.
and so like I love it.
The real question is, did you feel God in the Chili's?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. Well, I can't. My first Chili's that I remember was actually the next place I moved, which was Maryville, Indiana.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I felt God in that Chili's. So it might be like a whole.
Maybe God's in
chain
every
thing.
Chili's,
God is everywhere.
especially in Chili's.
So offensive.
That's why there's always a line out the door on
It's
Sundays.
God's queso.
Oh.
Yeah. This is God's fajitas.
By the way, if you're a medium listening in, like you should do something to contact us in the past.
Yeah, howawfulpodcast@gmail.com.
I would love to have a medium on here. You know
mean,
who I
there's
want to
like
get?
1000%.
There's 20 candles here, so
Yes.
like make one of them just flicker.
There's
or
also,
something.
I mean, my tray here is a Ouija board, so
What?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a Ouija
Oh,
board.
that's
We
cool.
won't do
Yeah.
that though.
That's neat.
No.
That's dangerous.
Yes.
You know who
Danger.
Yeah, let's not do that.
You know who I want to have on here is the medium that was the tour guide on Queen Mary,
Yeah.
who told me I had medium tendencies.
Oh my god.
Erica Frost. She also worked at the Whaley House, so she's got
What?
all of the stories.
Cool.
You put her on our dream guest list.
Yes.
She's a ghost hunter and a psychic medium. And brief story, which I'll tell more in detail when we actually go to the Queen Mary. But she could tell I was picking up on something in part of the tour. And she goes, "I'm not going to say what's down here. I want you to say it." And I was like, "I don't know." And she goes, "Just say the first thing that comes in your mind." So I was like, okay, I feel like it's like a boy's 15-ish, dark hair. He's really scared. He feels confused about his sexuality. And I feel like, you know, he was like crushed or killed or something. And then she goes, okay. And then she addresses the rest of the tour and is like, so there was a 15-year-old stowaway in the boiler room who was being essentially sexually assaulted by the crew of the Queen Mary, and he was crushed by one of the doors.
And you can look this up.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I'm a big Ghost Adventures fan.
Yeah. Oh, is that on Ghost
yeah,
Adventures?
it is.
I've never seen that episode.
Uh-huh.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. It
We
was,
need to watch that.
That's crazy.
Or at least somebody that was crushed in a door. They sensed it. They were like standing in a doorway. So I don't know if it was like fully as low as like being cargo or something, but there's some you should watch those episodes.
I'll have to
They're
watch that
amazing.
episode.
There's like they do like 3.
I could tell like where he was. He kept like crouching behind things. Like he followed our tour through most of the boiler room, and I knew where he was the entire time. And he had this like really scared energy.
Oh my god.
You were like,
She was the one who taught me how to walk away from a place that's high in activity and disconnect myself from it so that it didn't come with me home. Because that was my problem, is I would take energy home with me.
do you want to share with the class? Because that's really important information.
It is really important information. So if you find yourself on a ghost tour or someplace that is a little spoopy, and you just want to make sure that you get home safe and sound and nothing comes with you, what you do as you're leaving the place, you kind of do a little bit of a meditation. You visualize a cord. It can be like a plug. It can be a rope, whatever you want to picture, tied to you and tied to the place. And as you're walking away from the place, envision yourself either unplugging the plug or cutting the rope. So you're physically disconnecting yourself from this place. And as you're finally leaving the place, just completely imagine that rope severed and you're untethered from it. And supposedly it's supposed to, maybe it's placebo effect, but it's supposed to disconnect you from all of that negative juju.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked for me. It worked almost too good because I haven't really had too much happen since
you did that.
Yeah, and sometimes I miss it.
Do you?
Sometimes.
Wasn't it overwhelming?
It was, because I didn't know how to control it. And I wanted somebody to teach me how to harness it so that I could use it when I wanted to and not when I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I've had no luck finding somebody to help me with that.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
It is. It's cool and sucky. All at once.
So Joey from Maryville, Indiana.
Yes.
Just a few doorsteps away from Gary, Indiana. Mm-hmm. If you are familiar with Gary, Indiana.
Going back to Indiana.
Who lives there?
Indiana, here I come. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
The Jackson. How far were you from the Jackson 5 house?
Very important question.
I say like 4 or 5 miles.
Not too far.
No.
Mm-mm. So you're basically the next town over from Gary.
Yeah, okay. The first house we lived in. Sorry, I just like choked on my mule a little while ago.
That's okay.
So I'm like recovering slowly, so I might be
You were almost our how awful.
So this took a turn.
No, see, I was gonna say like a second ago, I like really relate to the attachment stuff because I actually, I will share later. Went to a place that was extremely terrifying and awesome and spooky and just really cool.
I'm excited.
And I honestly, you know, as a skeptic, I was feeling
made you a believer.
Major weirdness that I'm just like, okay, you know, this is check another one for the ghosts.
So the museum that Joseph is referring to
it's the Haunted Museum in Vegas.
Right.
That Zak Bagans owns.
Yeah.
And speaking of Zak Bagans, he purchased a home in Gary, Indiana, which y'all might have heard of, called the Demon House.
Yep.
What street was that on? Do you know?
Oh, God, I can't remember. I mean, one, he made a feature documentary that they got a theatrical release, which is crazy.
Did it really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I wanted to
watched
see
it, but
yeah, it's like, you know, it's good.
I lovingly refer to Zak Bagans as the Chris Angel of ghost hunters.
It's my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I love him.
Yeah. You gotta take him at entertainment value, or you hate him.
He's a total showman about it, where you know, in the museum he has a whole like Barnum and Bailey collection. Like, it was one of his idols. Like, he loves.
Oh, really?
It's amazing. Like, this museum is so cool. But
I want to see Zak Bagans.
So it's honestly like getting a lot of like Vegas best of awards like recently, like just best places to visit. It's just really cool. You go in these small groups, probably about like 10 people or so, and a tour guide takes you through the whole place.
That's cool. I didn't know.
Do not touch anything. Because
I won't.
basically, you know, whether you believe or not,
Joey touched things for sure.
I did not. I avoided things.
You were physically holding.
I was like ready to run at any second.
And Nikki Nicole was okay during this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there was one point where some clowns came into play, and she was like, nope.
Yeah, I would have noped right out of there.
Yeah, she's not a... See, I'm a haunted house person. I really love going to, like, haunted attractions and all that stuff.
And giggling your way through it.
Yes, exactly. Or I just, like, yell back at the people, like, yelling at me. It's just, like, what I do. They're just like, ah! And I'm like, ah! And it's just... It's a moment.
Who's a scare actor?
It's so fun. But anyway, Nikki is so not about that life.
No.
And... there's a point in the museum that Zak calls his clown room, and it's really just at this point, the museum keeps shifting because they keep adding more and more things. Like, he's making a lot of money off of the show, and he's pouring most of it into just creating a house of horrors, which is just
sweet,
so cool.
Have you seen his show about it? He's got, like, I think it's called Death Collector or something on the Travel Channel, and it's
not. But
you should look it up, because I've been
awesome.
watching it, and it features like the most haunted artifacts from that museum, and like him collecting it.
Cool.
So it has Robert the doll on there.
Yeah.
It's got the
all of these things are.
I don't like that doll.
All of these things are so scary. Like, and also, like, watch the episodes of the show before you go.
Robert's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that
one,
doll, man.
No.
That one is there, and then the other major doll that they have permanently is Peggy the doll.
Oh yeah.
Isn't
that,
Peggy,
which one is Annabelle based off of? Is it Peggy or is it Robert? I think it's Robert.
No. Annabelle is based off of Annabelle.
There's an actual doll named Annabelle.
Oh, isn't it just like, it's like a Raggedy Ann doll?
Yeah. And that's under the Ed and Lorraine Warren estate, which is really cool. But there's an episode of Ghost Adventures where they like made some,
I
some
just need
deal
to...
and they brought Annabelle to the Haunted Museum.
Yeah.
And like Zak freaking touched it, and like it's just
Ew.
what are you doing?
I know in the episode of Death Collectors when they put Robert in his lap, he's like, "Thank you, Robert.
So
I'm sorry,
weird.
Robert." Like he's so scared.
How is that man still alive?
Yeah, honestly, like
I don't know.
Just as the years go on, he's like looking more and more
like it's getting to him.
Yeah, and I think he'd be like the first to tell you too. Like he talks a lot about just dreams and nightmares and things that happen in his own house. He's got like the cutest rescue that he's got some posts on like Instagram where like he's filming the rescue dog like notice sounds that are happening in the house.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Oh, I need to follow him.
Yeah,
Man.
they're really.
We need to not
honestly,
talk shit about
like,
Zak Bagans on the show. Maybe
no, I am a huge fan because he's just like. Honestly, like going to that museum was just one of the coolest and most terrifying experiences of my life. It was so cool.
Right.
I call him the Chris Angel of Ghost Hunters, but is that exactly an insult? Because we went to see Chris Angel.
We love
We
Chris
were
Angel.
big Chris Angel fans.
These guys are like big for a reason. They're really talented.
They're so
great at what they do.
entertaining.
Exactly.
Okay, so he purchased the demon house.
So he purchases this demon house that essentially this woman and her, I think it was 2 kids. They were living in this house in Gary, Indiana, and essentially they started feeling all this like poltergeist activity, and then they just started getting just basically the kids started sleepwalking and speaking in tongues in the middle of the night while they were sleepwalking, and just like all this like craziness that got increasingly more and more scary. Which if I was a parent, I would also be freaked out.
This was the Ammon family, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Side question: do you believe in like possessions and demons and all that?
I think to an extent.
Okay.
I think the name demons and angels and all these things, I think it comes with a very religious connotation.
It does.
Here's a heavy question. Are you an atheist?
Oh. Do you want to go on record?
Yeah, do you want to go on record? You don't. I can cut this out.
I grew up Jewish.
Right.
So I did grow up very religious to an extent. And it was, as I got older, even like through my Judaism, like I had a wonderful rabbi, and he sort of taught us to question everything, and that as like a core principle of like kind of who you are. It's like you decide if you're religious or
that's
anything,
awesome.
and so it was less like putting things in boxes and more like getting in touch with spirituality and your own identity and all these things, and that honestly like became one of these things that like really made me who I was. I think ultimately like through all just growing up.
Yeah,
so like
that feels on brand for you.
Yeah, it's like I don't like to come down on one side or the other, but I'm just like as open as I possibly can be to everything. I've been to Jerusalem,
literally the Holy Land.
Yeah, and parts of Palestine.
Your birthright
and all these places. Oh, what's that?
You took your birthright.
Oh yeah.
Joey heard birthright and was like, huh?
No.
There was a whole year in college that we were like, Joseph, enough about birthright.
It was a very profound experience for you.
It really was.
Yes.
Because also it was like, growing up in Northwest Indiana, not a lot of people like leave,
No.
and that's
Totally,
something,
yeah.
you move like a couple towns over and, to like wherever you're comfortable, but moving out of state is like kind of a big deal, even to Chicago. I could think of probably like 15, maybe 20 people that I knew growing up that like moved to Chicago or elsewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, just my whole philosophy is just to be open to things, which I think led to my weird experience at the Haunted Museum.
Right.
It's like I was just like just being as blank slated as I could be, really. And there was just some
unexplainable stuff.
I felt like a presence, and it was just like.
All right, tell us about the Haunted Museum. I'm very hooked now.
Okay. So one, you get there and like they redo the rules, like no phones, like yada yada. So you're not like snapping pictures the whole time. Like it actually, it really adds to the experience where you're not looking at your phone. You're just like, you're in the dark with whoever you're there with, and everyone's kind of like experiencing it together, and you're in the moment, because that's even that alone, not having your phone in your hand is just like in today's society rare, and so
anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And so so you go in and like immediately you realize that like this, essentially he bought a mansion that was built in like the 20s or 30s in Vegas, and has slowly over the years just converted it into this it's just packed full of things. Like they call it a museum, but it feels more like an antique store where there's just like so many things thrown together. And then you realize that everything is here because it either like really creeps them out or it has a story of being haunted. And so it's just crazy. Like, so you're diving in. It's essentially like, and learning
the most
more.
haunted antique store in the world.
Like
yikes.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yes.
And it's just crazy. It's gotten to the point where he's made certain rooms like thematic. So you go in like the gambling saloon room. There's a doll room. There's a cult room. There's a serial killer room.
Yeah.
There's like and then like for the bigger items they just like make like a whole like installation where like they have Jack Kevorkian's van where he used to euthanize people, and
it's like our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything awful.
Yeah.
Doesn't he also have, what is it, Michael Jackson's death chair or something?
Yes, yeah. And
that.
So
he didn't die in a chair.
No, but the doctor who was administering all the drugs to him,
Conrad Murray,
was sitting in that chair.
So
he has that and the medical kit.
Chair.
And so like the needles that they were using and like everything, like it's crazy. Like,
Ew.
I think at least they had like the bottles of
the propofol.
Yeah, supposedly.
That's insane.
But then there's a lot of just like horrific. That's in the Hollywood room. And so he has this whole collection of Jerry Lewis's like clown makeup and his wardrobes. He has a whole separate room of his stuff because I think Jerry Lewis spent his retirement in Vegas, and then was also, so he probably had bought some of the estate. But it's fascinating. It's this huge piece of Hollywood history,
Yeah.
Because that guy's a legend. Like, he's amazing. I grew up like very early on his works. I've seen a lot. Like, he's like probably why I love slapstick so much. But so you have like that room, and then there's a Barnum and Bailey room. He's got like a weird flea circus. But then you go upstairs, and it gets scarier, and like you have he has this box that essentially is
the Dubuque box or the
Dybbuk box,
Dybbuk,
which is like that's like a Jewish
not the Dybbuk box.
Yeah, and so it's and it's like the specific box that they based the movie, what's it called, The Possession or something on. It was the Sam Raimi movie, but essentially, so they have it, and it's like allegedly one of the most haunted artifacts in the world.
They talk about it in that Deadly Possessions. Guy brings it to him, and he's like, because he buried it in his backyard, and when he dug it up, he like his nose started bleeding. He started having blood come out of his eyes.
Oh my God.
And it was just like the box did not want to be dug up.
Yeah.
No.
And so the reason he buried it was because he had bought it at either a yard sale or an estate sale or something, essentially as a birthday present for his mom.
Right.
And his mom was like, "Oh, this is beautiful," and she opened it up, and she immediately had a stroke. And,
oh my God.
Yeah. And she almost died. She like survived for a while longer, but then eventually had passed away.
Isn't its origins the Holocaust? Something to do with the Holocaust?
I think so.
I believe so.
That's like,
we can look further into the Dybbuk box.
There's like some more info has like kind of come to light that it's like one of a set that may have all been like
dispersed.
Yeah, that was like I don't know the full story, so I don't want to say anything, but it's like it's really cool, really creepy, and honestly, just like both Nikki and I had a very strong feeling from that room because we'd watched a lot of the show. We'd already knew of this thing, and we were just like, I'm not messing with that one, because supposedly a lot of people that come to the museum and do specific like seance types of things with it, or even just so much as like touch it. I think what was it? Post Malone.
Oh, God.
I think
that guy.
yeah, he was like on the show or something, touched it in the show, but he left and got in like a really bad car accident.
Oh.
And so it's like, and that's something that like happens like often.
Jeez.
And so it's just, you know,
Not
you don't
touchy.
you don't want to mess with that.
That's
and,
a touch me not.
yeah, there's articles if you look it up of like Post Malone just kind of like talking about like the string of like crazy bad luck. Either he's a really bad driver and keeps getting into car accidents, or there's something, you know. So
Supernatural.
check that one for maybe.
Okay.
But next door to that is Peggy the doll, which is terrifying. And then when we were there, they had like a spirit box in front of Peggy, and like you can like talk, like basically ask questions, and like we got like a couple weird things that like came out, like voice, and like I swear I heard my name. I like on my way out the door, like
no,
it was weird. I like
you heard your name?
I don't know. I can't be sure.
Peggy said your name?
I can't be sure.
Peggy is your girlfriend now.
Did she call you Joey or Joseph?
No, I was there with my girlfriend.
Or Joseph.
Joseph.
Oh no.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. She's personal.
It was weird.
That's what we call you because you're dear to us.
Yeah, I know, right? But
this bitch.
So the weirdest part happened right after that. Because we were in the room and the guide was just asking Peggy the doll questions, which, you know, like you can manipulate that. Like it could be a recording, could be something like that.
They could have gotten your like name when you checked in.
Yeah, but it was like it got like significantly louder when she was like, Peggy, do you want us to leave? And like everything started glitching out like louder and louder, and it was just like Nikki and I were like, let's get out of here. We were at like the back of the room, so all the rest of the tour was in front of us, and we're just like, can we get out? Like, I'm scared.
The telltale will be when we go, if they do that again, then you know it's fake.
Yes.
We'll definitely have to see.
But when we left that room, the next room next door to it was another like recently acquired artifact that they had, which was it's a preserved head.
No.
Of this like, I think it was a Swedish man from like the 1800s.
Why?
And it's preserved. Like it looks like a head in a jar. It's weird. But they send you in one at a time.
No!
At least when they were doing this. Nikki didn't go through, but I was just like, all right.
Of course you're going through.
I'm at the Haunted Museum. Like I just passed the other room. Like let's do this one. Mind you, like one of the things that they said, they were just like, weirdly, this room, we've been trying to like manipulate the thermostat, but like it is just hot in here. Like no matter how high we turn the air up, like it's just like there's an excess of heat. It's weird.
It's hell.
Yeah, I don't know. And so
clearly it's hell.
And then they said that there was some unexplained just like banging on the wall at some point. A security guard heard. Zak claims he was like thrown up against a wall like by some unseen force or something. Like I can't remember the full story with that guy because I actually had sort of checked out because I was feeling some like really weird energy, and like I honestly like while they started sending people through that room one by one, we were like waiting in this upstairs hallway, and it was like a balcony, and it was like they had like a sheet, so we were just kind of isolated. It was really dark. Everyone was coming out of the Peggy and Dybbuk room, and so Nikki and I were just standing in the hall with like kind of right next to the guide, and everybody was making their way out, and everyone just kind of stopped and settled, and she started telling us the story for the next room. And as I was standing there, like my heart rate just like started increasing. And then I just started, I don't know if you ever kind of get that like almost like lightheaded, like cold sweat, almost like you get when you're sick. Oh yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What was that?
Running, I think.
Oh,
Someone
okay.
was running down the hall.
No, I know. I know exactly what you were talking about. The feeling, though.
Yeah. So I was just standing there, and I didn't even say anything to Nikki because I mean, one, I didn't want to scare her, and then two, I was just like, no, dude, this is on your head. This is dumb. And
I mean, we definitely can manifest physical
Yeah.
sensations out of fear or
Anxiety.
just wanting something to
Yeah.
be real.
But so I don't know if that means I'm like extra sensitive or
You might be. I wouldn't be
and so,
surprised.
you know, I'm open to that. That'd be, I think, really interesting.
You're a very empathetic human.
Yep.
So I feel like it wouldn't surprise me if you were sensitive to something like that, because I feel like truly empathetic people are typically more sensitive to things beyond what's just physically in front of you.
Accurate.
Fascinating.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah. And so, you know, everything I read after the fact were all like kind of common symptoms, I guess you would say, of like people kind of feeling these energies. And so anyway, I was standing in this hallway and I felt this presence above me. I swear I felt it move across the ceiling.
Is this at the...
This is the Haunted Museum.
At the Haunted
This was
Museum.
was in the room with the head or after the room with the head?
It was in the hallway that was just outside of the room with the head and Peggy the doll.
Okay.
So we were like, the two rooms are next door to each. There's like Dybbuk room, Peggy, head room.
Oh, so fun. Okay.
And so I'm in the hallway. This is my
Quite the hat trick.
Stage left.
Are you Canadian?
What a hat trick, y'all.
I love it. So anyway, I'm standing in this hallway and I feel this. The only way I could describe it was, well, first I feel this like heaviness like move across the ceiling, and I just felt like
the arm gestures.
Yeah, making arm gestures.
Joey is putting on quite the performance for us.
This is interpretive dance. But then you have like the golf announcer voice that's like, it's very low.
It's very low. So he is waving his arms above his head.
And
like a woo girl.
So I just felt something like brush my hair.
Yucky.
Like the top of my head, which, you know, I mean, you know me, like my hair is like poofy most of the time. So it's like I'm no stranger to the wind just like making my poof do whatever. But it just like it felt just like a single deliberate like flick almost.
Okay.
But you know, that could be air, that could have been someone coughing behind me.
Yeah.
Gross. But it was
coronavirus.
Yeah. This is a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I felt that presence, and then I started getting very lightheaded, like where it was just like it felt like the beginning of like stages towards like passing out, you know?
Right.
Like where it's just like you kind of get tunnel vision and the cold sweat. Maybe some people get goosebumps or something like that, but like my heart started like beating a little faster, which again, no stranger, I'm a caffeine junkie. But this was like, you know, I was calm this entire time, and then now all of a sudden this starts happening. And so then I was just like, you know, me, because I'm a genius, I'm like, yeah, it's my turn to go through the headroom.
Oh gosh.
And I'm already feeling something, and I go through there, and honestly, like it started getting so strong that like I just kind of like panicked. Like I didn't even look at the head. I just saw it in my peripheral. I've seen pictures of it. I was just like, why did I come in this room? And then so we get out, and now we're waiting for everybody else to go through the room. And I'm standing there with Nikki, and like Nikki was like, what was it like? And like meanwhile, I'm still checked out.
Right.
And like that's when she noticed. She's like, are you okay? And I was just like, I'm getting really lightheaded and like faint. And like my heart is racing, and this is just like this.
And he's not a drama queen.
Yeah,
he's very calm, collected. This isn't something he would just do just for reference.
Yeah, it was very weird, very out of character. Because I'm the first person to go into the haunted house. Like I would love to.
Yeah.
And so we were standing out in this stairwell, and then I could not wait until like we went downstairs. Like we eventually did. And as we went downstairs, I started feeling better and better. But as I was coming down from that, I was just like, I felt something. Like I'm pretty convinced of that. And then we went into the next couple of rooms, which were equally terrifying. One of them has some Titanic artifacts. That was cool.
Oh, cool.
Nothing.
Right. Look, Tanya is aghast.
I love the Titanic.
We went to the Titanic Museum. You were with us when we went to the Titanic Museum, right? No, that was when we went.
That was
Brian Sullivan
And Riley in Vegas.
And me, you, and Brittany, and Janelle wasn't on that
Just
one.
the 6 of us.
Janelle was on the one with us.
Oh, good times.
This is a great Joey anecdote, so you know what he's like. So we took a big group road trip to Las Vegas, and within 10-15 minutes of us getting there, Joseph decided to do a lap around the Bellagio fountain.
This was like like a night into it.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was like
this is deeper
into it.
Yep.
Okay.
This was on Tanya's birthday night. We had already partied all night.
Oh, we were already drunk.
I was definitely drunk.
Well, he blew out his foot. He messed up his ankle.
And then on the road trip home, I kicked him in the shin.
And I fell to the ground.
Of the actual ankle that was injured. I don't remember why, but we were at a gas station and he said something Joey-esque and I kicked him.
Oh, God.
It was payback for the Angels and Demons stuff.
Yeah, full circle.
He is joyful to the point of pain.
It's
okay.
true.
In pain, he was even laughing, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And he was like, "You kicked me."
I've never been on the floor of a gas station before.
That was outside of Peggy Sue's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Peggy Sue's.
If you've done the road trip from LA to Vegas, you know what we're talking about.
You know Peggy Sue's.
Fried pickle heaven.
But they don't have chicken tenders.
Oh, really?
It is a diner with no chicken tenders. I think I stared.
He loves chicken tenders.
I stared at that waitress for an inordinate amount of time. And when I asked if she had chicken fingers, and she was like, "We don't have chicken." I was like, "What kind of establishment is this?"
Chicken don't have fingers.
I will burn you to the ground.
Goodbye, Peggy Sue's. Goodbye, dinosaur.
Oh,
Goodbye.
I bet that place is
Bye.
haunted.
Bye.
So Titanic room.
Yes.
Oh,
Titanic
yeah. Okay.
room.
So there wasn't much. They just had a mirror that was owned by the captain.
Oh.
Or by his captain's wife. It
In
was
proximity
his wife,
to the captain.
Yeah. And allegedly, people would
Captain
see a
adjacent.
reflection of the captain in it. Sometimes at the time that Titanic sunk, I can't remember on the date. I don't know.
I want to see that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then in that same room, I guess it was like a nautical room, because the other thing they had there was some stuff from the boat that Natalie Wood was on.
Oh snap!
And there's some other stuff, and they've shown on the show things fall over in that room all the time. It's weird.
We'll cover that celebrity death, I'm sure.
And then the next room was this electro-spiritualism experiment that scared the hell out of me. Electro-spiritualism, which was
Do you know what that is? Can you explain?
Yeah, so
I don't know what that is.
It was kind of think Nikola Tesla meets Ghostbusters, in the 1800s. So a lot of times, when electricity was still a new thing and people were making weird steampunk type of contraptions, it was sort of the same time that spiritualism was a thing. And so they kind of combined the two. There's a lot of
the thing that Mr. Houdini was very much
Attach
these two, this current to this type of compass device in the water or something. Then it'll point you to ghosts, or I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a scientist. But
what we thought you were.
That's it. This podcast is over.
So
good night.
So and so there was this thing. So essentially, this woman though she died doing this experiment that supposedly conjured a demon. And it was there's these weird Polaroids in the room that.
No.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Ghosty pickers.
So she was taking Polaroids of herself as the experiment was going on.
So many water bottle noises, guys.
We're thirsty.
So this woman was taking Polaroids of herself as the experiment was going on, and I remember there's 3 or 4, and I was just looking at it. I kind of stepped over and was looking closer at him when the guide was talking, and she essentially, first one she looks fine, second one circles under her eyes, third one there is almost this hint of a face like in the background, like that of like, I don't want to say demonic because like when you think demons, you think like horns and like all the religious, like, it was just like this. It almost looked like this like crazed person with like white hair, like sort of deal. Like but it was like only half of the face was showing. Mind you, like this woman was like, she was either in a recliner chair, or she was like on the floor or something, but it was almost as if this like face was coming into frame. And then in the final Polaroid, it was like ripped in half, like that same area where that face would have come into frame. And the thing about a Polaroid is, I don't know if you've ever tried to rip them in half, but
so hard.
You can't. And so, but it looked like someone just tore it like a piece of paper.
Yikes.
And so it scared the living hell out of me. And I was just like, I want out of this room. I have a very bad feeling about this.
Yuck.
Yeah. They later like used the device in another episode of Ghost Ventures like a few months ago, actually, because they did like a quarantine special. They quarantined themselves in the museum for 2 weeks.
Wow,
it's brilliant.
I want to see that.
No, yeah, we're gonna have to watch that.
Whether or not you believe, it is a lot of fun.
We're gonna have to watch that.
We'll have to queue up some things on Halloween to watch.
Yeah,
Halloween, we're watching a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forget you're working on Halloween.
I am a working woman.
Yes.
No, we'll definitely have to watch. Did you know about the, I talked about it in a past episode, but do you know about the Museum of Death in Hollywood?
Yeah, I've never been. I've always wanted to go.
I've been. It's definitely up your alley, so we'll go. I mean, they have cult memorabilia, they have Manson family stuff, they have Heaven's Gate stuff.
Which you covered.
Yeah.
Episode 4
it's heavy.
or 5.
Yeah.
I
don't know, one of the episodes.
Wow.
It's heavy. There are definitely parts of, like, I mean, there's crime scene photos and stuff, but there's definitely parts of it where it's like, this should not be on display places, but it's interesting. It's great.
I want to go. So when we're all allowed to hang out
if
again,
it still exists, I mean, I don't know if it's pulling in funds, but you can't miss it because it's the Museum of Death, obviously, but it is blasting metal music on the street.
Of course it is.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, like hardcore blasting metal. It's kind of amazing.
It's like my vibe. What do you want to drink? Do you want another one of those?
Yeah. Do you want a Moscow
or
Mule?
should we open
do you want a cider mule? Do you want
whatever you guys?
Do you want a whiskey drink? Do you want a lager drink?
Do you want a cider drink?
You want a vodka drink? Or you want wine?
Songs that remind us of the good times. Songs that remind us.
What would you like, Joseph?
Whatever you two are going to be drinking.
Do you want wine?
Cheers.
Oh my God. Cheers.
Red blend.
We have wine now.
Oh yeah, this is an apostolic
Cheers.
red.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Wait.
Joseph.
Hold on, I can make eye contact.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look me in the eyes. It's 7 years of bad sex if you don't look somebody in the eyes. My mom taught me that.
Gotta be having it for it to be bad.
That is a responsible mother.
Mona. Coming in clutch.
Mona. I'm gonna do that every time now.
You know, one of my PAs taught me the term coming in clutch.
You didn't know coming in clutch?
No.
She's new, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm getting old.
She acts very foreign for somebody who didn't really live in Canada that long.
Sam, shout out.
If you can even call Canada like foreign.
I'm gonna have a cookie.
I love Canada. It's my new favorite place.
We need to just go to there and stay there.
I am very in love with Vancouver.
Right? Let's just all go to BC.
I still want to do whoopee gob.
Whoopee gob.
I just dropped a cookie all over me.
Do you have more to add to your story?
Yeah, there's just one more piece of the Haunted Museum.
Do it.
Yes.
It brings us full circle.
Bring us back.
When Zak bought the Demon House, he made his film and did the whole investigation. But honestly, if you watch the movie, I'm skeptical, but I do kind of believe that he may have had something happen while he was in the house, where essentially he said his like eyesight got significantly worse. Like he saw like a shadow, and like ever since, like he's had like a lot of problems.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't he have like lasting problems?
Yeah. So whether or not we believe that, is crazy. Oh, also like weird thing, the church that they film the interviews in, and like they go see, like there's a pastor who I think is like performs like an exorcism or something like that. That was like one of my friend's churches growing up.
Oh,
so
wow.
I actually like, they were shooting in the church. I'm like, I've been there a lot. Like I would stay the night on like Saturday and go to Sunday school with my friends.
Wow.
Like it was,
The long-term goal is we should have a whole episode about the demon house because I know you have more.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's
and
craziness.
And I mean, I don't want to go into it, but one day we'll have to do like an Indiana.
We'll bring
video
Joseph.
Series with Joseph as our guide.
We'll bring Joseph back and we'll do an entire episode dedicated to the demon house.
No, I feel like you're going to be in a lot of our videos.
I'll wind up talking just like all these like I'll just bring up random things. We'll be on a whole different topic.
We'll do a video episode about the demon house and we'll put that on the Patreon someday.
Because it's like we had that experience. There was felt some stuff growing up in my temple. There's
I firmly believe all churches are haunted.
Yeah. Yeah,
and temples.
Yeah, no, just any place where people are opening themselves up to spirituality, I think is
There's so many dead bodies.
Because honestly, I'm coming at this from like a weird, again, like Tesla angle where it's just like, this might be just energies and remnants of like actual physics and quantum physics and things like that, where it's just like these are all like roads leading up to the top of the same hill,
Right.
The hill called life.
Whoa.
But it's just like I don't know, it's just really weird. It's funny because the experience at the Haunted Museum made me think back to all the weird things that I couldn't explain growing up that I just shoved out of my head because it was just like either too scary of a thought or it's just like, no, it's just your imagination because, I have an overactive imagination. No. Very good.
So on the first episode of this podcast, I kind of talked about this as well, where I also feel the same way, where I do have a hyperactive imagination. And I don't know if that's because we're creators at heart.
I think we're both relating to different things that he's saying. So you're relating to his skepticism because of your hyperactive imagination.
Correct.
And when you were talking about how you were feeling in the museum, being nauseous and heart racing, lightheaded, feeling on the verge of dizziness, on the verge of fainting, that's like exactly how I get. And I'm very sensitive. If you ask the people in my life who are familiar with it, it seems that I am used to leech energy from so they can manifest and do something. Because every time I feel that way, something then happens to either me or someone else on the tour.
Wow.
Or in your home.
Or in my home afterwards. But I get that racing heart feeling. I get sweaty, but I'm cold.
Yeah.
I get really lightheaded and dizzy. And like you could talk to me. I don't really know what's going on. I have a hard time standing up straight. Our friend Johnny Perkins has experienced this with me. He's literally had to physically hold me up because my legs weren't working.
Shout out Johnny.
We were at the Queen Mary.
Yeah, buddy.
We were at the Queen Mary, and I didn't want the tour guide to see that I was reacting because we were in the vortex of the Queen Mary, and he kept calling on me because things kept happening when I was involved. So I became the circus freak of the tour. So Johnny became my guardian during that tour.
Yeah. Johnny's also very empathetic and he also is very sensitive.
Very.
Shout out to Johnny. He's a patron supporter. We love you. Thank you
love him
for supporting us.
Wonderful human.
He is one of the best.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
no, go ahead.
No. I mean, the coda and all this. We were leading up to this point because I knew that essentially, so Zak demolished the demon house, so it actually no longer exists.
Oh God, that was a bad move.
But he kept the staircase
I think he did
the one that he buried
down to the basement.
Oh God!
And he kept a bunch of dirt because essentially they had found some
artifacts, fingernails and stuff.
Yeah, things that could have been used in rituals and stuff like that.
Watch Demon House. Is it on Sci-Fi or Travel? Travel.
I have no idea.
Travel Channel.
It's on the Travel Channel. Yeah. Watch Demon House.
Or on iTunes or whatever,
and wherever.
And it was, he demolished the house, but he kept the basement stairs and a bunch of the dirt. And so...
Here's some dirt.
This is my jar of dirt.
And it's one of the final pieces to see of the museum, or at least when I was there, because that was the newest thing. And I was really nervous to go, honestly, because I just, when I had found out that this house was a mile from one of my houses growing up, and it was not a stable environment, I guess you'll say. Like there
Definitely
was
not.
like that cul-de-sac that we used to live in, like used to flood a lot, and like the town, like they would try to fix it, but it wouldn't work. Like there was a retention pond behind the house. Like, it was just like
everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. It was Murphy's house.
Like Murphy's house. Murphy the demon.
And but anyway, it was just a very interesting thing. We eventually moved, and like life got so much better. But it was just like, just thinking back, it's just like closer to that epicenter. Like who knows? It could
might have been shooting out some demon.
Mm-hmm. Like got tornado warnings all the time. And it was just like, it's just weird. But yeah, so it took us to the stairs, and thankfully I didn't feel anything there. But it was just like such a.
I'm sure that was so surreal.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
But I was also like still feeling like a little like just out of it until we got outside of Vegas, because like Nikki and I were just like, we were just like, we were planning to just go there and then go home like on that last day.
Oh yeah.
Which it was great. We got some White Castle. It was awesome. And,
maybe something latched onto you.
I don't know.
Sometimes it takes a minute to shake. They have far reaches.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and it was just a very, very weird experience. I can't wait to go back.
No, we will definitely go back.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I mean, we want to
go back. Yeah. Oh, big time. And our friend Jamie wants to go, so we'll make a road trip out of it.
Yeah, we'll do a girls trip.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Joey could come.
Yeah,
bye, Moosh.
I don't count. I'm a neutral party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the Peggy Sue's.
No chicken.
And the ghosts.
No chicky fingies.
B doesn't like Peggy Sue's.
No, because it doesn't have chicky fingies.
Wait, I'm trying to remember the story that happened in our place in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, because I don't know if you actually, because when you said in a chair, I don't think we're thinking of the same story. The chair story was actually something that happened to Brian Poocher.
Oh.
So our friend Brian, who lived with Joseph at the time, was sitting in like a lazy boy chair and felt something touch his head. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
There was another time where B was also here.
Mm-hmm.
We were all sitting in the living room.
We were sitting in Franklin's room on the floor.
This is a different story.
Oh, okay.
We were all sitting in the living room, and I don't know if you were home, Joey, but Devin was there. This is also our friend Devin's home. He still lives in this place, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening, we're blowing up your spot.
I found that place.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Congrats on the rent
Finder's
control.
fee.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, you need a finder's fee for that place. So we were all sitting in the living room, and the way that the layout of this apartment was, there was a living room, and then there was a door that led to a very tiny hallway that then led to 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. So this door that led to this tiny hallway was left open at all times, because why shut it to just lead to your bedrooms? It was kind of a pointless door.
Unless there was a party, then it was a very valuable door.
Yeah.
Don't go keep people away.
Yeah, you can go to sleep and a party will be happening in the living room. Like, It's an awesome place to live.
Yeah.
It's great.
So the door was pretty much kept open, and we were all sitting in the living room, and then all of a sudden the door just not slammed, slowly closed.
Oh man.
Were you home for that? Do you remember this?
I don't.
Maybe it was just Devin.
Joey wasn't home a lot when we went over there.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was probably working or something.
You might have been. Also, this apartment has been kind of like
revolving door of tenants.
Yes.
Devin is the only steady force in this apartment.
A lot of our friends have lived in this apartment and have since moved out.
Yes.
But Devin is still there. So
the keeper of the home.
He is the keeper of the home, him and his wife.
That apartment is where one of my favorite Be Drunk stories happened with you. When I was visiting LA for the first time, we were at the Hudson, and I enjoyed myself. I imbibed a little too much, and me and you were sitting in Devin's room.
Oh yeah.
And I was just eating all of their bagels. I think I ate an entire sleeve of bagels.
Yep.
And Devin came in, and I told him he lived like a hobo. And then I sat in Poocher's closet eating dry Fruit Loops. Not Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles. And like hissing at everybody.
And by closet, we mean walk-in sound studio.
Exactly.
Full of our clothes.
Exactly.
I remember Poocher was showing me his like sound set up like the cool guy he was, and I was like, oh, cool, let's make out. And then I made out with him.
She said in the last episode she was a kissing bandit.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I was very drunk.
Oh, LA, early years.
This is when everybody was single and everybody just made out with each other. It was the time.
So funny.
Everybody did not make it. I did not.
I did.
Yeah, you're too busy eating bagels.
I was too busy eating bagels. I am very good at not making out with our friend group. You are not.
I was a kissing bandit, like I said. Anyways.
Off topic. So, did you make out with the ghost?
No.
Oh.
Are you sure?
No, I'm surely not sure. We were very young. We like to have fun these days.
It was walking distance of our favorite bars, so.
Oh gosh. So that was a weird thing that happened. And then Devin stands up and he's
Joey's
like,
losing it.
yeah. He didn't know this. I didn't know you didn't know that.
No, I did not know that. That's great.
That's really funny, clearly.
Well, so another story, like I remember Pooch like freaked out. He was like, we were sitting there watching a movie and he was like, jumps up like immediately is like, bro, something touched my head. Like,
right. That's
for some
what
reason
I was
I thought it
thinking,
was you because like we talk a lot about like you having the experience. So like I think I associated you with the story. But I remember like Devin or somebody told another story. It was either Devin or Franklin. Occasionally like they'll come into the kitchen and like the cabinets would be open. Things like that.
Franklin told me a story, but I might not say it on the podcast because I'd love to have him on to talk about this.
Yeah.
So Franklin, if you're listening, which I know you do listen because you texted me that you listen.
I also miss you, buddy.
We miss you. We love you. I just talked to him this weekend. He's so good. But anyway, so my story that I'm thinking of that I wanted to tell you that I'm not sure if you know about because I don't actually think you were home when this happened. I think you were in Orange County at your cousin's house.
Oh, yeah.
But this is when our friend Cal lived in this apartment. But yeah, we were sitting in what was then Cal's room, our friend Calhoun. We were sitting in his room. And I was sitting with my back kind of against the wall and half out the door, if you can imagine that. I wasn't sitting with my back completely pressed against the wall, but like kind of half in, half out of the room while we were all sitting
back
talking.
facing tiny hallway.
Yeah, my back was facing this tiny hallway.
Dark tiny hallway.
Where I previously said the door opened, or the door closed on its own. And I was sitting in this doorway and we were all talking and I was not speaking at this point, but I felt someone squeezed my shoulder, as in like it was a very like loving gesture. It felt like something that our friend Devin or Joey would have done if they got home and just said like,
hey,
without saying anything, just like squeeze my shoulder to say hi, because we have a very familial, affectionate friendship. I look over my shoulder and to like say hi to whoever has just squeezed my shoulder to come in. I assumed it was Devin, and I look over my shoulder and no one is there. And I'm kind of silently processing this. And I turn around and I'm like kind of white in the face. And B looks at me and she goes, are you okay? And I said, did someone just come in? Did someone walk into the apartment? And she just shook her head no. And like there was another conversation happening. So B and I were kind of having a side conversation with this like group of people that were there. And I was like, nobody just walked in? And she was like, no. And I was like, Devin's not home? And she was like, no, nobody walked in. Are you okay? Like, what? Why do you look white in the face? Did something happen? And I said, I swear to God, someone just squeezed my shoulder as in like to say hi, and nobody is there.
Oh my God.
And that happened in your old bedroom.
I did not know that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
We all like stopped for a minute and talked about it.
And then, and then everybody caught on to what B and I were talking about. They're like, what? And I was like, hold on. Guys, I experienced a ghost.
Ghosting.
So that was like the dining room.
No,
Right?
this
That
was the back room.
That was the back room.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was the bedroom that you and Poocher shared once.
Yeah.
You never lived in the ghosties castle, right?
No.
No. But we went there a bunch.
I never went.
I'm sure that place is haunted.
Oh, for sure.
I need to hit up Hannah.
We had friends that lived in Bela Lugosi's castle in the Hollywood Hills.
Yes.
One of the artifacts also in the Haunted Museum is a mirror that was owned by Bela Lugosi.
Wow.
And it is also one of the most haunted things in there. And they say if you like stare into it, there's like weird stuff that'll happen.
Ooh.
Like I didn't stare too long because I'm scared.
Skeptical,
Yes.
but no.
Yeah.
Did you know that the room you are in right now used to be
Not the room, not this exact room.
No, but
this building.
This building is an abandoned hospital
that they renovated into apartments and where they used to shoot Scrubs.
Yes. There used to be a hospital here that was majorly haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, this is where they shot Scrubs?
Yes.
I love Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
They
Well,
tore it
while
down.
it was a hospital, when it was still a hospital,
Yeah.
it was an abandoned hospital. They spruced it up for it to be the hospital for Scrubs.
Then they tore it down and built apartments over it.
And during the shooting of Scrubs, they kept having experiences. It would mess with their equipment. It would mess with the cast. It would mess with video. It would mess with sound feedback. It like ruined their lives on the set of Scrubs shooting here.
Which we have not had.
Joey is hanging out with his mouth holding, just held open right now.
Joey speaking in
So
the
well, we don't know if this building was the hospital or the parking garage and the one across the street was the hospital. We don't know which one was which.
Yeah, but whatever. Well, I think it was actually this.
This was the hospital?
This space was the hospital.
So really love that I was in our garage with all the lights out completely by myself.
We have not had any paranormal experiences.
No,
Yeah, you haven't felt anything?
No.
Okay.
However, in theory, the building that used to be here was haunted. So if we go by, what people say, they say that when you tear down a place and you rebuild,
Makes it worse.
it makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
We have not experienced, quote unquote, the worst.
Maybe they brought in a shaman to
Blessed it. They staged the hell out of it.
We did sage the place. When
we did
moved
sage
in,
the place.
So maybe we got rid of anything.
I don't know if you remember Aquarius.
Oh gosh.
So Tanya and I actually Tanya got me this wonderful job on this wonderful show that actually led to my job on The Magicians like 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But we were on the show Aquarius for NBC, which was following the turbulent 60s and the eventual Manson murders and all these things. And in season 2, we actually recreated and shot the murders. And, we had rebuilt basically the house.
But all of the
set.
exteriors were at the actual Tate mansion.
Yeah. And so a lot of that, when we were going to shoot those really, really intense scenes, we actually did bring a shaman in to sage the crew.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our producer, Nan Bernstein, brought in a shaman to bless the set before we started.
That's crazy.
It was, we all stood in a circle, holding hands back when we used to be able to do that.
Quick, because you shot that on Paramount.
Yes.
And
also haunted.
Yes, because I frequently
there.
went there. Yeah, frequently went there.
We'll have to cover it.
We'll cover Paramount, but this is just a very, very quick. I was sitting in the car. It was after midnight, sitting in the car, picking up Tanya. I don't remember. I think your car was in the shop or something. So I was sitting in the part of the parking lot that's right next to that parking lot that they can flood. Nothing particularly was happening, but I just got this overwhelming feeling of a child. And I had this overwhelming, whispering in my head of this name over and over and over and over and over again. And Tanya got in the car. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm kind of out of it. I was like, I know Paramount's haunted. I don't know all of the stories behind it. I was like, but I'm sitting in the car and all I keep thinking is the name Heather. And she's like, Heather O'Rourke haunts Paramount, the little girl from Poltergeist. I'm like, cool. So I'm just sitting here while Heather O'Rourke is whispering her name in my ear. And that was just one of those intuitive moments.
Yep.
But to segue into my apartment in Chicago so that Dennis can finally stop sitting on the edge of his seat.
You're welcome, Dad.
Yeah. So
Dad is happy.
Exactly. Dad is happy.
Dad is
scared,
thrilled.
baby. Anyway.
Yeah, and he calls me baby every other word.
Baby.
Hey, baby.
When we moved into the apartment, nothing really was going on very much. It was pretty tame. And then we went on a ghost tour. And we went to the Hull House, which I talked about. And we were there with my mom and my brother and my sister-in-law and Tanya. And I started feeling the racing heart, lightheaded, dizzy, was barely able to stand up. My brother caught on to it and had to take me out of the property lines and put his hands on the sides of my head to kind of transfer energy. I know it sounds really hokey. I don't care if you don't believe me. To make me okay. And then I just got on the bus and I refused to go back on the property. But at that time, somebody in the courtyard was getting a picture of their friend in the courtyard. And in the pic, it was a Canon power shot. Clicked it. as she clicked it, showed up in the frame, and there was a figure about to tap her friend on the shoulder.
Right, and we talked about this episode 3, I believe, if you guys want to
and
go
this
back.
was as I was feeling all of my energy being just sucked out of me. So I went on the bus, wouldn't deal with it, felt better as we got away from the whole house. But then stuff started to go down at our apartment.
Yes. It wasn't until after the whole house?
It wasn't until after the whole house, which is why I think something came with me.
Because I took a ghost tour with you. Was that the second time you guys
It was
went?
the second time we did it, and I didn't get off the bus at the whole house. You guys did. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, the time we went with our friends,
that's why I didn't.
Including Joey, was the second time we did this tour, and you stayed on the bus.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. I have pictures of us in front of the whole house.
I remember.
But yeah, it started simple enough, not malicious. It was messing with our dining room table light, like the light over our dining room table. It would fizzle, and it was a fader. It was like a dimmer, so it would dim and then go back, and dim and then go back. Or it would turn the light on to the oven.
Ding!
I'm so scared.
That's the oven. You're scared Joey.
Oh my God. So yeah, just little simple things. So you experienced the lights.
Yes.
That happened. A lot of the stuff didn't happen around Tanya, but the light stuff happened. And it slowly started to amp up. I started to feel something watching me in the shower, and it would make me like rip open my shower curtain all the time because I genuinely felt like somebody was in our apartment standing in my bathroom on the other side of my curtain. Then it got progressively worse, and that was when I started to message Dear Joseph over here. Because it would be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the only other insomniac I know, because he stays up all night writing. I would be in bed and trying to fall asleep, and I would hear a low growl. And I would be too scared to open my eyes a lot of the times, but I faced my fears. When I gained the courage to open my eyes, it appeared shaped like a human, but as if a human was on their feet and hands, not their knees and hands, their feet and hands, galloping around my bed.
Oh, no.
And growling at me. It was just the silhouette of this human type thing galloping around my bed. I don't know if you remember me texting you and saying that this was happening and I was scared to get out of my bed. And you were like, mind over matter. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about Elizabethtown. Let's talk like you were just distracting me from it so that I would, ignore it and go to bed. Worked a couple times, but it started to get worse. And this part I didn't tell you because I knew there was a limit to what I could tell you about what was going on in our apartment. Where you could still live there.
I also slept with my door open because we had kittens.
Yeah.
Izzy, our assistant, was a baby, and our previous
Rue,
assistant,
our past assistant.
Rue, who is no longer with us,
yes,
would sleep with me at night. So I would leave my door kind of cracked open, so I didn't want to hear about any of these scary things.
This was before she found this stuff interesting. She found this very disinteresting at this point.
I was terrified.
The growling and the running didn't stop, but then it would start. If I wanted to get out of bed, it would run to that side of the bed and kind of trap me in my bed. And then it started to, as if it was at the foot of my bed, reach up, grab my comforter. I could see it, balling my comforter in its hands, and start pulling it off of me. And I would fight with it. I would grab my comforter and start to pull it back, and it wouldn't let me. So most nights when I would try and sleep in my room, I would have to, at some point, find a way to bolt out my bedroom door, and I would sleep on our tiny love seat couch. We didn't even have a full-size couch. I slept on our tiny love seat couch with Fresh Prince on for almost 5 months because I was too scared of my bedroom. I wasn't sleeping at this point. Tanya can attest that I was becoming a recluse. I was extremely depressed. I was crying all the time. I couldn't explain why I was crying. It was anytime I was at home, I wasn't okay. But every time we went out, I was. Mm-hmm. But she would come home and find me sitting on the bathroom floor, sobbing, nauseous, everything that could. It was very bad. I went to the hospital a few times in the middle of the night because my heart was racing so bad. I thought I was dying. I had one experience where I was perfectly fine, very calm, had a good day, walked in our apartment, closed the door, and it felt like a rubber band had snapped in my chest, and my heart started racing so hard. I had to call my mom because I was afraid I was about to pass out, and I didn't know if anybody was going to find me. So I called my mom so that if I passed out, someone was on the phone with me.
Yeah.
And I stood in the middle of our room because in our living room, so that I wouldn't hit anything if I fell over. And that passed eventually, and then I was totally fine. So it was just these weird occurrences, and it started amping up more. So I was sitting on our couch alone. Tanya was out. I didn't go out a lot because my anxiety was catastrophic at that point. And it was doing, the lights flickering, turning the TV on and off. It was opening and closing cabinets. It was doing the ice machine. It would click the ice. The ice would fall out of the fridge. And I was just like, will you stop? It was the first time I yelled at it. And I heard a crash in my bathroom. So I got up, I go in my bathroom. It had taken everything that was on the side of my tub and thrown it across the room. Just trashed my bathroom.
I had no idea it was this bad.
It was this bad.
Yeah.
Like I remember like this whole period. I remember that
me not coming out much.
Yeah,
my
like
mental health not being great.
But we also hung out at your place a lot, so I did see you a lot.
Yeah, because that was really the only way I could do anything. I felt very trapped in our apartment. I felt like I couldn't leave it or I wouldn't be okay, even though I was much better when I was out of the apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
We also enjoyed hosting. Like we liked having people over.
Speaking of hosting, I was decorating for a Halloween party, and I had on little cat ears. I was like 19, 20 years old, and I was decorating. I had all the lights off. We had this big stand-up mirror right in our entryway when we came in the front door. So if I'm standing looking in the mirror, the only thing behind me is our front door and then our laundry room door. I had no wreaths, no decoration, nothing. And I thought the silhouette of me with my cat ears in the mirror was cute. So I took a selfie in the mirror.
Back then it was a mirror selfie.
Yes. In the mirror. And I noticed after the fact, far after the fact, that there is a face behind me peering out of the laundry room watching me.
We should show Joey this picture.
I'm going to show...
You still have the picture?
Yes.
I'm freaking out. I mean,
yeah,
Joey,
you should show Joey the picture.
Joey is freaking out and grabbing his hair and has
it is very
look
clearly
of astonishment on his face.
Joey's not going to sleep.
No, I have some friends who...
I don't sleep anyway.
I have some friends who see it that don't think it's human. I have other people see it and think they can make out a face.
Oh, I also have another question about the... And I'll just call it an entity that was running around on all fours. Mm-hmm. Were they forward, like hunched over like an animal, or were they backwards like a creepy exorcist
like an animal
spider? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like hunched back, facing the ground.
It was literally. I'll demonstrate.
Oh no.
Oh, I don't want to see this.
I can't
Don't do
it. But it was literally like like that.
Okay.
And like it was galloping around my bed like that.
Oh my god.
That's something that can easily be done.
Does it seem like an adult or a kid?
An adult. It was big.
An adult demon.
And
oh god, I can see the picture.
And to be honest, like the longer it went on, the bigger it got. Almost like my belief in it was making it bigger to me. I'm putting on my mask so I can go by Joey.
Same here.
Yeah, we're being very COVID conscious here with our masks as soon as we get close to Joseph.
I believe in science.
Okay, here we go.
Oh my god.
Do you see it?
No.
Oh, there's literally nothing there.
There's literally a shadow. Oh yeah, the door is closed.
See, now that I'm looking at it, I feel like I can see skin tone right there.
Yeah.
There's hair.
Yeah, it is a full-on figure.
Yep.
Over your shoulder.
Yep.
Is that I can't tell. Is that the? Oh, that's your front door.
That's the front door.
And then
that's the laundry room
like
door open.
Yeah. Wow. And there's no shadow.
No.
Like it literally looks like a head coming out.
Yeah, but there's no shadow of the head on the door behind it.
Yeah.
There's no like indication there's a body behind the slatted door.
Yeah.
It's just a floating head.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Can I see that again?
That is probably one of the most terrifying like personal photos I've ever seen of like somebody capturing someone. I'm so scared right now.
Yeah, so
especially now that
we'll post that. We'll post that on Instagram. We won't post it to the Patreon.
There is literally no explanation as to what that could be.
No.
There is no literally there were
I know, it's horrible.
I hate that so much.
clearly things were getting very bad. And my brother, he practices Wiccan. He's very into the occult, him and his wife. So, and he has this belief that my mom is a white witch because things happen. It's just, my mother will eventually get into all of that. Her grandmother used to be paid to do seances in rural Alabama. It was very cool. So my brother came over. He came over to do a seance to see if he could figure out what was going on. I didn't tell him much, and he was able to tell me that, yes, something was watching me in the shower. It liked to watch me. And this is my brother, so he's not going to want to sit here and be like, yeah, you have a ghost that likes watching you take your clothes off and take a shower and do all this stuff.
Especially not Nate.
Yeah. And just for reference, during the seance, Tanya hid in her room. This is how disinterested she was. She wanted no part of this. She did not want to hear stories. She did not want to hear what was going on. She wanted to be blissfully ignorant to what was going on in the apartment.
Yes, 19-year-old Tanya was very terrified.
Oh, I also left out that we used to always get noise complaints when we weren't home. So our neighbors below us would say they're running on a treadmill at 2:30 in the morning.
That's not you.
Again,
no,
I remind you, I had a thing
like
galloping around my bed. Yes.
Joey's like, you guys go to bed by like 7?
Exactly.
No, by like 9:30, okay.
Okay. But yeah, saying we were running on a treadmill at 2:30. Again, galloping ghost. Hi. And these were days where we were visiting our parents. We weren't even home. We also had that leak above our couch. It was a black spot in our ceiling that slowly grew, and then we came home and the ceiling was caved in over where I slept on the couch. Yeah.
I'm so scared.
It was never ending.
I spent so much time here and I had no idea.
Yes, you did. You spent a lot of time there.
Wow.
So seance is happening. My brother's, he brought sage. He was going to cleanse my apartment, all that stuff. After the seance, he went, we'll do the cleansing. I just want to have a cigarette first. We lived on the 23rd floor. We had a balcony we never went on because it was the 23rd floor. It was also covered in spiders.
Yeah.
Or snow.
Or snow. So we never opened our balcony door. My brother said, I'm going to go have a cigarette. As he pushed his chair back and stood up, the balcony door opened for him.
No.
We were in the kitchen, nowhere near the balcony door. Nobody was near the balcony door. This was winter. Yeah. The air wasn't on. Nothing opened that door.
And I do remember hearing your brother go, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's being courteous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let me get the door for you, bro. Like, just open the door for him.
I could hear everything. Even if I was hiding in my room, I was just so scared. I was like, if I don't involve myself, then this thing won't bother me.
So my brother saged the place. We blessed it. And nothing happened again. I was able to finish college, which I didn't think I was going to be able to do because I genuinely felt like I was dying. This was so bad. I called my parents at 4:30 in the morning, made them drive from the suburbs to pick me up and take me to the emergency room because I couldn't calm down. Like, my heart wouldn't stop. I felt like I was having a heart attack.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the story of 1101 South State Street.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we tried to do research on it. We couldn't find anything much, but we do know that it used to be a fire station.
Whoa.
Or something like that. A jail or a fire station, but the historian on one of the ghost tours told us that it was some sort of authority building, and it was shut down because they were abusing prisoners in the basement.
Yeah, because we were such frequent visitors,
they drove us home once. I don't think that was your tour, but we were such frequent visitors to this ghost tour.
It was when my cousin Jesse was with us.
Their drop-off point was the Rock and Roll McDonald's, which was a few miles from our place. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and we somehow convinced the big black painted haunted ghost tour school bus to drive us all the way home. We got our money's worth.
That was a good night. That was the night that they did the secret Congress Hotel.
They let us into the ballroom.
But we weren't. We had to be incognito because they weren't technically allowed to go in there. Yeah. So we kind of snuck into the Congress ballroom.
And Tanya got a ghost bride. She got a picture of a ghost bride. Yeah. And I got scratched while she was getting that picture.
Someday when we cover the Congress Hotel, I will post my ghost photo that I did get. And I got a big reaction from the guy.
Yeah.
That was an incredible picture. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I remember we went there on our tour also.
I don't think we got out, though.
I can't remember which one Jesse was there for.
Jesse was there for a summer one. I don't think you were on that one.
No, I think it was just Jesse. Us, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just remember,
we went 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
and,
it's a wonderful tour.
It is.
If you're in Chicago, take it.
I want to take the Archer Avenue one. It's like 4 hours long because Archer Avenue is the most haunted road in America.
What?
Yeah.
It's where Resurrection Mary is.
Wow.
It's got you
can't
go 5 feet without hitting something haunted there.
We're kind of hoping our Patreon supporters grow, and then we can afford to travel, and we can.
We want to do a whole October in Chicago down the line and just hit up.
I'm
all the
so
haunts.
here for all of this.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's our Halloween episode. So we like to end things by shouting out a how wonderful.
I think my how wonderful is pretty obvious. Today I had the honor and the privilege of having the opportunity to cast my vote, which is not something women always had the opportunity to do. So I think it's pretty wonderful. And I'm not going to lie, I got a bit emotional when I walked into the polling place. I voted at LA Valley College.
Okay.
And I walked in, and when I walked in, the man looked at me and he said, "Are you here to vote?" And I said, "Of course I am." And I, no joke, started crying. Because I'm a sap.
Because they're trying to take that right from us. We used to not have that right. So it's definitely it.
And I feel like this year is a really important voting year, and I could feel it when I walked into the room. And I voted, this is my 4th term voting for president, and I can't tell you, this feeling walking into a polling place was so different than any other time that I voted, and it was kind of worth the emotional roller coaster, because when I walked out of there, I, no joke, felt so proud I couldn't leave the polling place. I stayed there for 10 minutes after the fact, just like sitting outside the polling place because I was so, I was overcome, and I kind of wanted to sit in that feeling for a little bit longer before I got in my car and left. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's my how wonderful.
You've only got one more week to vote, guys. By the time you hear this, actually it'll be Halloween. You'll only have 3 more days to vote.
So please vote.
Get out there and vote.
It's so important, especially this year. The country is divided, and
sorry, Mom, but vote the fucker out.
Yeah, I don't care what party lines you're on. This is an important election.
People's lives depend on it.
It's a matter of human rights.
Exactly.
Yes. Please vote, and please vote from your heart, not from your wallet.
Yeah.
Well, my how wonderful isn't as profound. My how wonderful is a movie. I watched Death Becomes Her for the first time in 20 years.
I kind of walked in on this, and I was bummed that I didn't see the rest of it.
I've been really wanting to lately.
It is so good. It's on HBO Max. It holds up. I mean, the cast. Come on. It's Meryl. It's Goldie. It's Bruce. It's amazing. It's so funny. It's so quirky. Bruce as this overly anxious, it's just so funny to see him in a character that's not this macho man.
Right.
But if you have HBO Max, watch Death Becomes Her. Absolutely worth it.
Maybe I'll watch it on one of these late night shoots that I'm about to.
Oh, you'll love it.
Engage myself in.
Yeah, I know those.
Have you seen it, Joey?
Yeah, I saw it when I was little.
Kids,
so I remember pieces, so I know how crazy and slapstick it is and fun. But
I don't know how they got
so overdue for a rewatch.
I don't know how they got this cast, but it's amazing.
So good.
So that's my how wonderful. What's your how wonderful, Joey?
There's just so many things that I'm just kind of grateful for all at once, so I can't pick one.
That's okay.
You can do more than one.
Yeah, I'm going to sneak a bunch in here.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'm very grateful, and I think my lovely little micro family at home is wonderful.
Yes.
My girlfriend, Nikki, who is the talented person behind the cool How Awful music.
Yes.
She's sick right now with the flu, I think we said earlier, but so feel better.
Nikki Lou is one of the most specialist human beings on the face of this planet.
Yes,
He's a very lucky boy.
I am.
But don't worry, Nick. We tell Nikki that she's a very lucky.
If you saw our text messages, it's just a lot of, I just love him so much, and you can't tell which one of us said it.
Well, hopefully it's
a revolving door of all of us saying
that makes me happy.
Yes.
The Joey Mireles also, our pup is 65-pound albino Doberman who just came through some surgery. She's doing really well. Yeah. And then I'm also just like, it's just wonderful to be here with you after how many months now? Like you two are such a huge part of my life, and I miss the ever-living heck out of you, and it's just so
heckin' miss you.
It is so much fun to be here because it's so Halloween in here too, which is my favorite time of year. Like, give me those orange lights and candles.
You know, I had to go all out with the ambiance for you.
And then it was like the ceiling is all like spooky and like it feels like we're underwater. Like this feels like a Queen Mary exhibit.
Yeah,
like,
I think the last time you came here for our Halloween party, you and Nikki Nicole showed up inebriated, so you may not remember.
It's true.
And to join the Sap Fest, we just want to say we've talked about Joey on the podcast before. We've talked about
a reoccurring character.
He is a reoccurring character. We were so excited to invite him on the show tonight. Not because we knew he would have great stories to tell, but mostly because he is very near and dear to our hearts. He is one of our closest friends. I oftentimes refer to him as my best boyfriend.
Boy that is a friend.
Boy that is a friend.
It's a boy that is a friend.
Yeah. not love boyfriend.
Stay our friend.
But he is one of the gentlemen in I have a lot of male friends, and he happens to be him and our friend Sandy are probably tied for best,
favorite
for best boy friend.
Yes.
And you know me, I'd say better than or almost as much as B knows me. And we are so honored to have you on the show today and in the future. We can't wait to...
You're going to see his adorable little face on the videos for sure when we're ghost hunting.
Yes. Joseph and Nikki, his lovely lady, are family to us. And we are so honored to have them as a part of this passion project that we have procured for you all.
Love that.
I just love you so much.
Oh God, everybody's weeping.
We're group hugging in our mind.
So fantastic that you're doing this, because it's just so much fun.
We just want to create fun stories with friends.
And just do this year round. Like, yes.
It's Halloween season all year.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, please.
So with all that said, thank you for listening to the How Awful Podcast. You can find us at howawfulpodcast.com. Like we've said previously, please email us your personal stories at howawfulpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we are at How Awful Podcast. Also, if you want to follow our lovely guest this evening, our friend Joey, his Instagram handle is Joey_Mireles, which is spelled Mireles.
Speak and spell. Do you have hearing impaired friends? You can find us on YouTube with transcribed episodes.
You can also join our Patreon page.
Give us money.
You can be a supporter of our podcast, in which we would love to finally be able to produce more products for you in terms of videos and location recordings and all these amazing...
How Awful is looking for a sugar daddy.
Yes, How Awful is looking for a sugar daddy. So if you'd like to support us, if you'd like to be a patron and get special attention, literally, you can...
Daddy.
You can... Please don't say daddy. I hate this so much.
Dad is happy.
I am daddy.
Oh my God.
It's going amok. Amok.
I feel very uncomfortable. Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Patreon.com/howawfulpodcast. I think that's it.
I've been B. He's been Joey.
I've been Tanya Lee.
I'm Joey.
I'm
Joey?
Joey, why don't you get the honors of saying our final How Awful?
How awful.
Yay! Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
As always, we've been B and Tanya Lee. Our logo was created by MJ Savard, and our theme music courtesy of Nikki Lou.